Rightio, hello, welcome. So, today, this is going to be the first, hopefully there will be more, depending on how time goes, video tutorial on how to make one of these small paper baskets. And yes, it is paper. It's those of you who've been following us a while and watch the Instagram and Facebook videos or check the website, you know that here in New Zealand at least we are the only one who's importing this craft paper into the country, and comes in packs like this, and this is 15 meters. And the thing to note about this, and I've spoken about this before, is it's essentially paper band, recycled paper band, and that's individually rolled in a machine and then glued together to form bands. And I hope the camera will pick this up. We'll see. It's a bit hard to see with the shadows. There we go. You can see it's got individual little strands, right? And there is, in this instance, 12. And they can be split further to make them smaller, like narrower as it were, right? And then you can make all kinds of things with it. This is my absolute new hobby. I really love it. But they come in packs like this. In this instance, this is the navy blue, and this is the beige. And 15 meters. If you wanted to not make this one, but just want to make like the one on the front here, on the front of the pack, like this bit, there are instructions actually in each pack. So same sort of thing. It tells you, you know, what the band is like, how to split it, what you need, what length, and so on and so forth. So it's really quite detailed, but there's also a video already online on YouTube, and you just scan the QR code and Bob's your uncle. Now we are making today something way easier. We're making one of these, and I'll make it in 2 colors today, so it's easier to see what's horizontal and what's vertical. So I'm using these 2 colors. Other things you will need is some sort of ruler. You can use these metal ones that I'm using, or you can just use a tape measure, as long as it's got very clear centimeters written on it. You may or may not need some pen or pencil to mark where you want to cut. You will need a pair of scissors. You may need some pegs, so I use these little clamps. They're really, really cool. Not so much for this basket, but for other baskets that I make with the paper. You definitely will need glue. I get this from Maitre 10, but other hardware stores will have it as well. I'm not sure if normal paper glue works. I haven't tried it. I was told wood glue is the best, and that's what I'm using. So this is quick setting wood glue, and I forgot how much it is, but I got this at Maitre 10, and you know, you can probably use other glue as well. I haven't tried it. And also what comes in handy is some tape. You know, so you can tape things down. It just keeps everything in place. It makes it easier. And then the other thing what I like to use, and I wish I had 2 of these, is some sort of weight. Some people of you already have. You use it for your harakeke weaving as well, some weights. So I use this one that was a gift a couple of years ago. It's called a ratting iron for willow weaving actually. And it's a nice hefty thing, and when you put it on, it's very nice and heavy. So those are the things you will need. So get them ready and then come back. Right, welcome back. I forgot to say that we do have, so for those of you who don't want to buy a whole pack, 1 color, you can also buy ready-made DIY little kits. So we pre-cut all the strips for this and put the instructions how to make it into the kit, and that's in our online shop as well. Also, I forgot to mention, at the moment we have there's 10 colors of these. We put them in our, or what they are, in our online shop on flaxworks.co.nz, under Kamihimo Craft Paper. We will eventually, if we have money and time, create a separate website and a separate YouTube channel, and that will focus just on the paper, just to keep it a little bit more streamlined and separate and easier to find. Yeah, so our DIY kits only have one color in them, but I will be using 2 colors today, the navy and the beige, just to make it easier to see where we're putting, because you can see, well, you can't actually, because it's quite difficult to see where what goes, just for demonstration purposes really. Right, rather than dragging this out by me showing you how to cut paper, you just have to take my word for it, and I'll take a photo later on with the measurements and show you. But basically what we do is, in this instance for this particular basket, we're using the whole width of the paper strip. And the easiest thing is either using like a big ruler like this, or you have to double up on the smaller one to get to the right length. And it is quite exact, it's like down to the centimeter. And you would want to make it that exact simply because this is a comparatively expensive material and you want to use the majority of it and not have too much wastage. I mean, you know me, even with harakeke, I hate wastage. It's just, I put too much effort into preparing it that I really don't want to waste any. So I cut this now, and there's a little trick to it. If you line it up, you can't see the other end at the moment. I need a couple. There we go. You can line it up, and then if it's not too dark, you can mark it, right, at the spot where you want to cut. Then use your scissors and then just do a straight cut, and that's really it. So nothing special about it. So I cut these, and I'll see you in a minute. Rightio, welcome back. So we've cut these. So they are in their order. Number 1 is 4 pieces of 12 centimeter length. Number 2 is 3 pieces of 42 centimeter length. Number 3 is 2 pieces of 11 centimeters length. So 11 centimeters this way, yeah, right. Number 4 is 5 pieces of 42 centimeter length, and I've made them in 2 different colors so it's easier to see when we weave them. Then we've got, where are we? Number 5, 2 12 centimeters. Number 6, they're called the weaving strips, so they are the ones that go round and round, and they're 51 centimeters and there's 6 of them. And lastly, but very important, the reinforcement strips for the top, they're also 51 centimeters and there's 2 of them. So all up, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different lots. And if you're new to this, it pays to just, use a bit of tape and maybe just tape it and put the number on it, or put a piece of paper on it, and lay them out in their order as they are used. It really helps because, there is not much difference between 12 centimeters and 11 centimeters. So it just might make your life a lot easier. That's all I'm saying. Rightio, to recap. So we need 4 strips at 12 centimeters, 3 at 42, 2 at 11, 5 at 42, 2 at 12, 6 at 51, and another 2 also at 51. Rightio, so now the actual laying. So what we're starting off with is the bottom, right? And I've made these in 2 different colors so it's easier to see, because the blue is not really the ideal color for this. And I've marked the middle, or the center of the first 2 strips really. So I've put this one, right, halved it, and the same here, and then I used the pen and I marked it right there. And this kind of mat comes in really handy if you have one, if you have access to one. Otherwise it might sort of be a little bit tricky. Anyway, so I line the center up with one of those vertical lines, and then funnily enough, because it is 12 centimeters, it lines up on that side as well. I hope you can see this. Right, there you go. And then one of these, so this is number one, strip number one, 12 centimeters, right? And then I put this one where the middle is, right next to it, like really touching it. And then it's a good idea, take it from me, I didn't do this the first 2 times, and then I was wondering why they were going all over the place. Use a bit of tape and tape it down as you go. Right? Zoom out a bit. There. So next one, you want to line up. I get a different view in a minute. So you want to line this one up on that side as well. And put the tape in the middle, not on the sides. Right, next one here. So these long ones, you can line them up. It's out of shot. Line it up on this side. That is in shot. Nice. Close to each other. Again. Next one. Pretty straightforward, really. So far so good, and a lot of these baskets start the same way, and that's why I'm saying the tape comes in really handy, trust me. And last but not least, right, so that's how it looks now. Zoom out a bit, there you go. So you can see short, long, short, long, short, long, short. So this is essentially, if you were to look at it, your bottom. Right? Now we're using the next two, these two, right? And these are 11 centimeters, and now comes the glue. So I'm using this one. Give it a good shake. And the idea is with using this glue is you don't just want a dot. You want to go, I mean, you don't want to oversaturate it, but you want to go across the whole width of this strip, because otherwise part of it won't stick. And if that feels like it's a lot, it probably is. Maybe let it dry a little bit. Or what I do sometimes, I put 2 and 2 together and share the love. There you go. Just don't leave them stick together, because they will stick together. Yeah. See, and then you have 2 strips. And then you can align them on the sides like so. And you need to press quite firmly until the glue probably comes out on the other side, and then do the same on the other side. Like really pressing down nice and firm. So that's your base of your bag, of your not bag, sorry, basket. And this is when my weight comes in really handy. And sometimes, you know, I've got this, I put this on the other side and I let it sit, and I find you can straight away turn it over and start making something, or, you know, continuing with the next step. But I find if you let it dry for a little while, give it 5 minutes, get yourself a cuppa, it helps. So I'll see you in 5 minutes. Rightio, how was your cuppa? Right, so I've taken the weights off and this is pretty, you know, solid. So now it's time to take the tape off. Right, that was handy, wasn't it? And then, right, turn it along. This is what it looks like from the other side. Now, if you, like me, sometimes I zoom in a bit, don't measure properly or don't align properly, you end up with having little bits sticking over like this. And it's really a good idea to just tidy this up before you continue. So I see there's a tiny little slither that I cut off. Right, so, and now it's time to put these strips on. And remember how I said I made 2 different colors for this part so you can see it easier. So we're starting off with the blue ones. And again, we want to center them, and we want to center them, hang on now, where is my ruler? There it is. So we want to center them in the middle of this one. I mean, I don't use a ruler for this. In the middle of this strip. And if you again want to help yourself, you don't need to, because you will take it off again. But I sometimes find it easier just so it stays in the same spot. I know, sometimes it's overkill. Right. Oh, so you halve these again, right? So that's your middle here, and your middle goes right there on both sides. Okay. So that's your middle, and your middle goes essentially there, right in the middle. Okay, and this time around we make our life easier. We put the glue on the paper rather than on this, because we don't really know where we're ending, but we can see it here. So again, and that's where these glue bottles come in really handy. So you put roughly the width that you're going to put your strip on the other side as well. And that's the beauty with this paper. Unlike if you were to use, you know, like harakeke or lily or bark or anything like that, glue might not be such a good option, I don't know. But being paper, glue is your friend. Right. Oh, gone a bit overboard there. Now let it sink in a little bit. Right, middle. Put your middle in the middle and on the side like so, and press down again. Weight on that. Same on the other side. So what happens if you press down a bit, because these are individual pieces of paper rope, the glue will essentially go right into them. So if you press on it, it will distribute evenly. And then I put the weight on again, and as I said earlier, you can straight away continue with this, but I find it is easier and sort of looks tidier if you let it sit and dry slightly for 5 minutes. And again, this is where this quick setting glue comes in handy. I've used some other similar wood glue, but not quick setting, in the past, and it took a little longer to dry, and it sort of was a bit soggy. And this stuff is really, really good. So yeah, again, Maitre 10 here in New Zealand has it. Right, 5 minutes gone. Well, put some focaccia in the oven in the meantime. There you go. So, now that you've done that, yeah, take this off. Sometimes the tape sticks a little bit too much, doesn't it? Right. Turn it over again. This is what it looks like now. And I just noticed it's wonky. Oh well. Let's see how it's... Rightio. So, I've turned it over again. Yeah, remember we glued this on. I turned it over again. And if you continue with this basket or some larger ones like this, and you know your basketry in general, you know how it is over one, under one, over one, under one at the very basic level. Or if you make something like it's a bit bigger than this, so if you compare the two, right? Then it's a good idea, I find, if you use a ruler. And I've got one that's got rounded edges even, I can't find it at the moment. So what I do is I thread this through, like so, makes it really easy. And then I just put the strip in like this, rather than with my finger trying to thread it through. And then move it to the side, and I sort the alignment out in a minute, and then put the other one through. Same thing. And then for the last one, because remember we've got 5, do the same thing. This is a little trickier, especially if it's this narrow. And then we can put this one just like through. Pull it out. Now, as in other basketry, so you have the over one, under one, over one, under one, over one, under one, over one. So this is the most basic of all basketry techniques, and it goes across all kinds of materials. You look at a willow weaver or a bark weaver, or as we do with harakeke, they tend to be, that's the most basic thing anybody can learn, is over one, under one. Same here, right? So I've put them all in, and you can see they're not quite lined. So I line them up first, so they're all the same length, right? And then I make sure that they also evenly spaced here in the middle. Right, so not like so, but I want them nice and evenly spaced. And you can be very, very accurate about this and even measure it if you like, but I just do it by eyesight and sort of roughly line them up. There you go. So that's the state. And as before, we want to put, they're called reinforcement strips, right? So we're putting them now across here and here. That keeps all these bits, these longer ones, in place. Essentially that's what it's for. And as before, I just do the little trick. I put glue on one end, and then I just stick the other one to it temporarily to make the most of it. Get this out of the way in the meantime. Here we go. The good thing about this wood glue is it sort of penetrates into the paper fairly quickly. Right. Stick them on. There you go. And then take them off. And then you have the glue on both sides. And then there we go. Lovely. And this one on here. Same thing. So that makes the base, the bottom, nice and strong. Again, try and really press down on this. If you can. See how it's coming up again if you don't. So that's when these weights really come in handy. It's the little things that make a difference here. At the beginning, I didn't know how to keep it straight and how to keep it down and all that sort of thing. And it's sort of, you know, the more you make, the easier it becomes. Rightio. So, I've turned it over again. Yeah, remember we glued this on. I turned it over again. And if you continue with this basket or some larger ones like this, and you know your basketry in general, you know how it is over one, under one, over one, under one at the very basic level. Or if you make something like it's a bit bigger than this, so if you compare the two, right? Then it's a good idea, I find, if you use a ruler. And I've got one that's got rounded edges even, I can't find it at the moment. So what I do is I thread this through, like so, makes it really easy. And then I just put the strip in like this, rather than with my finger trying to thread it through. And then move it to the side, and I sort the alignment out in a minute, and then put the other one through. Same thing. And then for the last one, because remember we've got 5, do the same thing. This is a little trickier, especially if it's this narrow. That's when the rounded edges come in handy. Demonstration effect. Right, here we go. Oh, come on. There we go. And again. And again. There we go. Oh. And then we can put this one just like through. Right, out. Now, as in other basketry, so you have the over one, under one, over one, under one, over one, under one, over one. So this is the most basic of all basketry techniques, and it goes across all kinds of materials. You look at a willow weaver or a bark weaver, or as we do with harakeke, they tend to be, that's the most basic thing anybody can learn, is over one, under one. Same here, right? So I've put them all in, and you can see they're not quite lined. So I line them up first, so they're all the same length, right? And then I make sure that they also evenly spaced here in the middle, right? So not like so, but I want them nice and evenly spaced. And you can be very, very accurate about this and even measure it if you like, but I just do it by eyesight and sort of roughly line them up. There you go. So that's the state we're in now. I'm not sure why the camera keeps turning off. For I've got enough battery. I certainly have enough memory. I don't know. Anyway, so just in case it turned off before I could explain this, so we've turned all these sides up, right, like so. Yeah, there you go, so that's the side view. And now what we do is we have our weaving strips and one of those pegs, right? And we start on the long side. So if you look on the side, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 this way, but only 1, 2, 3 that way. So we're starting on the long side, and we're starting on the second from the left. Pop this one in, sort of halfway. I hope you can see it, sort of halfway behind this one. Yeah, I'm assuming you can see if this makes a difference, if you can see it. So about there, halfway. Okay, and you pop a peg in just to secure it, and then you just follow what I said earlier. Zoom out again. With the over one, under one, over one, under one, all the way around until you reach the end back here. So it comes from behind, so that would be under, so this would be over. So then you go behind this one, over that one, make a nice kink. You can even fold it all the way around, and then go around the corner, under this one, over that one, under this one. Make another nice kink, exactly on the corner there. Sometimes it's easier just to go a little bit over, under, over, under. And if it doesn't want to stay, that's where these pegs come in handy. I always put a second or third one in just to keep it in place. Right, back on the corner. Make a nice little kink again. Just a little bit too far from the corner. Sometimes you have to adjust it a little bit. Under, over, under, last corner, and then you meet this one again, and then you glue it in place. And as you can see, it's actually overlapping quite a bit. Now, it would work even if it was only this much shorter. So it depends on everybody's tension a little bit. So I tend to weave a little bit sort of tighter than other people. So what I do now is, so now that they're joined again, put my peg there, I put a bit of glue, because it needs to come under here, doesn't it? In order to get it, right? So I put a bit of glue between, I'll show you, oops, sorry, this way, between these two, right? And that way we're hiding the join, sorry, this way around, we're hiding the actual join behind this one, so it doesn't actually show on the outside of the basket. And it does get easier the more often you do this. Oops, sorry, out of shot. And tiny little drop. Hold it in place and try and hide the join. And sometimes it's easier just to pop a peg on those joins. Here we go. So this is where we at now. Check. Yep, very good. Very good. There you go. So the next one would be on the opposite side. So you don't have to join on the same side at every turn. These really help. Right, so now the next start, instead of going behind this one, because we already got this one here, you can either start on the first one or on the third one. I tend to start on the third because it's sort of in the middle, it helps. So we do this again. Start behind, about halfway. Remember, put your little peg there. And they want to go all over the place at the beginning. That's just the way it is. I don't have to pull it. There we go. Right, and so we now over this, under that, take that one off. And now you can see the weaving coming along. Make sure that you do your kink in the same spot. I pop a peg in again, just to keep it in place. Over, under, over. Right, under. Right, here we go. And it really pays to manipulate these sort of corners every so often. Right, see that? So we do this with all of our 5 strips that we have reserved for this. Glue at the other end and so on and so forth. Rightio. So now I made a mistake earlier. I said 5 rows. It's actually 6 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. Now the idea is to, as much as you can, tighten them by either pulling these ones, like pulling these ones, or pushing these horizontal ones down, either or. So that's the idea, and you gradually do this all around just to make sure that they're all nicely lined up. Right, give it a nice kind of, you can pull them or shape them a little bit. And then what you do is the ones on the outside, so that's why I've done 2 colors so you can see it easier. So this one at the moment is on the outside, so we fold them in and tuck them in on the inside. So we fold this one in like so, right? And then you just sort of, hang on, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this. So if you were to fold them in like so at the moment, you have a bit of excess, you know, about sort of 6-7 millimeters. So ideally you want to cut that off before you tuck them in and then hide it, if you can see this, hide it behind the strip. So cut it off, right? And then I tuck it in, and if you were to look now, it's behind this one here, so it's sort of hiding, right? And you do this with all the ones that are on the outside. for starters. So measure them up, go tight, go in, see how much you might need to cut off. Cut off and tuck them in. So that way it looks like this. Okay? Go all the way around. Rightio, so they're all tucked in now, as you can see. Well, not all of them obviously, only the ones on the outside. So every second one. Put it back in shape so it looks a bit more like a rectangular. And now we have these two last ones that we need to reinforce the rim with. And a good idea is to sort of, you know, cut it a little bit like so. It makes it easier to, especially the second one. The first one is not so bad, but the second one, because it gets thread through. And what we do is we put this one, the first one, in between this outer last one and these remaining strips on the inside. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So we pop in and we just pop it in like so. And you can, if you want to, kink it again or not. I usually do. There you go. It just sort of slides in behind all of these. Oh, all comes out again as the case. There we go. Doesn't want to stay in at the moment. Okay. And sometimes it helps to glue them in place, but it's really up to you. You don't need to glue it. I'm just going to give this another kink. And you want to somewhere where it joins, hide the end again. Otherwise, it would be in, hard to see because it's blue on blue, it would be sort of in no man's land, as it were. Try it that way. Yeah, that's better. Now we've been hiding it behind this one. And then we fold those ones, so these ones, outward. And tuck them in on the third one as well. There you go. And if there is any excess, like here there's about 8mm excess, we cut that off first. So cut it off. And then it tucks in like so, and then you can't see it on the outside. So next one, maybe easier to see with this brown one, so there would be that much of an excess, so now we cut it off. There we go. So we do that with all of these, all around, and then we add the last remaining strip. Right, so that was easy, wasn't it? So that's what it looks like now at the moment. Okay. So we tucked. So we've done the first ones on the outside in, now they've done the inside out, and now we've got this last strip, this last reinforcement strip, and I cut a little sort of a node again. And now we thread that through on the outside into those, so it looks, for all intents and purposes, still like over one under one. Can you see that? And that's pretty much it. And then you gotta make sure that you tuck the ends in somewhere where they can't be seen again. Alright, right underneath all of this. There you go. Oh, made a mistake. Can you see that? There's a mistake right there. Put it into shape a little bit. Make sure that you see where all these other bits and pieces are, that they're all nice and hidden somewhere. Sometimes it needs a little bit of a moving around last minute. Now, then another thing what you can do, hang on, I'll show you in a second. Sorry about that. So the last thing you want to do is use a normal spray bottle, and you can spray this inside and out. And you can really soak it. And don't worry, it won't fall apart even though it is paper. Right. And then it makes a completely different sound if you can hear that. Right? And then you can still shape it into place. So I like to kind of move it around a bit and make sure that it's nice and square or round, as the case may be, if I want it to be a round basket. And that everything falls into place where it should be. Right. Sometimes you need to adjust a few bits and pieces. And then you let it dry, and that makes it extra strong. So then, when you then let it dry, and you touch it again, at the moment it's wet, of course, you know. So I grabbed the yellow one that I made a couple of months ago. So if you... So this is... Because once the paper is wet and dry again, it makes it extra strong. So that's why... after you've woven it, making it wet, and then you can still shape it into place, is a really good idea, and I like doing it. There's a trick that a friend showed me. So there you go. There's your little rectangular paper basket. Cute, isn't it? Happy weaving, everybody.